Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Crafting Cartel. I am your favorite Dungeon Master DM Andy, and today I'm gonna build battle mats. I've been kicking around the idea of playing Moonstone. Moonstone is played on a 3x3 area with a small amount of terrain. So I was kind of hoping I could make it work for bolt action as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut up a ton of bricks, because I want it to be like a town or a cityscape. So I want the majority of my playmat to be brick. If you notice here, I'm cutting two different size bricks up. I've also cut down my XPS foam so that some of it's thicker and some of it's thinner. So when I'm laying out the bricks, they're kind of uneven. So then when you paint and you dry brush, you'll get a nice looking playmat. Now, if you don't have a hot wire table, you can always do this with a razor knife. I took a nice sharp box knife, I sliced it down nice and thin, and then I cut the strip down. I'm going to cut it into the same size bricks that I just showed on the hot wire table, and from there, it takes a lot longer to do it this way, but you'll be super happy with the results if you just spend the time cutting these bricks up. As you can see, they're exactly like the ones I made on the hot wire foam table. So either method will work. One just takes a lot longer. Now, when you use a hot wire foam table, normally the bricks at this size, they won't just come apart. They kind of stick together from the heat. So I'm just going through my bucket, separating them out before I add the rocks and an aluminum foil ball. Slap the lid on and give them a really good shake. This is an easy way to add texture to your foam bricks without having to roll each brick with a foam ball. Shake, shake for your dear life. Give them a really good shake. You're not going to hurt those foam bricks. My camera doesn't do a very good job here showing you, but if you look close, you can see the texture on these tiles from shaking them with the rocks. Alright, now here's my secret to this video. I'm going to use these cheap peel and stick tiles that I bought from a department store. They were about 59 cents a piece, and I bought 9 of them. So if you notice, when you peel the paper off the back, they're super sticky. So I'm not actually going to even need any glue here to make this work. I'm not going to use PVA. I'm not going to use hot glue. I'm just going to take these bricks, and I'm going to start laying them on. I'm going to do a pattern of long brick, short brick, long brick, short brick. And I'm going to use different height levels of the bricks as I go as well. If you notice, I'm just sticking them on. This part does take a while, but once you get in the pattern, turn on some DM Andy videos and just zone out, see the different levels of the bricks. This turns out really, really well if you just take your time, and because you've cut the bricks as even and straight as you can, it's not even hard to keep your rows nice and clean. Okay, if you notice there, I just used my thumb and I pinched the corner off of one of the bricks, give it a little character. Every so often, I either take a razor knife and I poke a hole, or I make a crack, or I cut off an edge. It's just whatever you can do to give the individual bricks more character. It'll make these battle mat dungeon tiles, floor tiles, whatever you want to call them. They're 1 foot by 1 foot peel and stick tiles, so I guess they would be sort of like a dungeon tile. Sorry, I'm getting off topic. If you notice here, on this first row I went long brick, short brick, long brick, short brick. So on the next row up, I'm going to start on the left-hand side, but this time I'm going to start with a short brick and go short brick, long brick, short brick, long brick. That way I create a pattern as I move down the tile and move up the tile. Each individual brick is different than the brick next to it. I'm going to speed up the video here so we can get further down the line so I can show you a few more things I've done. Earlier I talked about using a box knife or a razor knife to add some character to the tiles. Well, once I got this row finished, I went and grabbed my box knife, and like I said, I carved little holes in different spots, shave off little pieces of an edge, draw little cracks with the knife. You don't necessarily want to do it every brick, but you know, every so many bricks, every randomly 10th brick in the row or something to that effect. Now, when you get these done, when you get to the ends, you're going to have an uneven brick row. Like, I couldn't find any way to get them to come out exactly right. So these cut off real easy, and I didn't have any problems cleaning that up. As you can see, that edge is perfect. So it's going to butt up to the next tile super easy. All right, on to the Mod Podge. Because they are foam, and because I didn't glue them down, I used the peel and stick tile adhesive. I went ahead and Mod Podged them. That way Mod Podge will slip in between the cracks of each brick, as well as it'll just create more rigidity and strengthen up the tile. Now, the peel and stick vinyl tiles are really tough, so that's a really good characteristics for this build, is these floor tiles are super durable. They store easy, they're small, they're compact, but the Mod Podge not only darkens all the tiles up, but it strengthens up the whole piece. So once you've got all your texture done and everything you like it, just go ahead and mix up some black paint Mod Podge and coat the whole thing. So if you notice right here, I didn't finish the entire tile. That's because I'm going to use some sand here and make an edge so when I butt two tiles together, it makes a road. So I'm just going to use some PBA, Elmer's glue, school glue, and a wet paintbrush, and I'm going to coat this small section with that glue. Now, I tried not to get too much of the glue up on the edge of the brick, but don't worry too much about that. Just be mindful not to get the top layer of that brick covered in glue, because then the sand's going to stick to it and it's a little bit hard to clean up after that. And if you noticed right there, I stippled the glue after I got it all even. I stippled that glue because the sand is going to have some of that glue texture when it dries. And if you stipple it, you get a nice, uneven, undulating sand formation going. All right, so I spun the tile around, I poured sand on it, and then I left it to dry. You can get your sand from just about anywhere. You can pull it out of your yard if you want to. I would just suggest baking it at 200 to kill off any bacteria if you're going to source your sand from outside. After that, I let everything dry and set up, and then I got out my airbrush because I wanted to bring some of the color back from where I Mod Podged it, and I wanted it to have a nice asphalt gray color. I just thinned down my acrylic crafting paints so that they would work through my air gun. I used some Vallejo paint thinner, flow improver. I mix it up in a separate shot glass, and then I pour it in. Once I got that nice and situated and lots of variances of color with the grays, I took white and the old famous makeup brush, and I dry brushed the bricks. This brings up edge highlights on the corners of the brick. Just make sure your brush is super, super dry before you start. Otherwise, you're going to have to repaint everything, and you don't want to do that. So, one of the things I like to do with situations like this is once it's super dry, I make myself a wash. It's just black paint, some water. It's a lot of water, a little bit of black paint, and just a drop of liquid dish soap. Any liquid dish soap will do. It thins the paint in such a way that it doesn't stick very easy, similar to the way washing dishes gets the grease off the pan. When I got started here, I didn't like the color, so I darkened it up a little bit more, and then once I got it like I like it, I coated the entire brick layer with that black wash. I filled in some of those darker recesses with a little more, and then I just let it dry. All right, let's get a look at these tiles all set up and ready to play. If you notice, they make really good dungeon tiles, but then you can also turn it around and pile them all together and make a town out of them. Here's the city I've been working on, or the small village. There's the marketplace, there's an archery tournament, there's all kinds of things going on. I am your favorite Dungeon Master saying thank you guys for watching, and if you've made it this far, please like and subscribe. I do everything I can to try to make content, even though I have a full-time job. I love doing this. I hope you loved watching it. Thank you again, you guys.